Yo, yo, peace, peace. Chris Lyon back here with RockTrue Beatz, man. You overstand, and we're doing something a little bit unorthodox today. I know y'all probably glad to see my wonderful face and my beautiful sombrero out here. You know, I can assure you we're not out here in the Mexican sun, but nonetheless, the sun is just as hot. You see the beautiful sun shining rays right down upon me. You know, let y'all be praised, man. Give thanks. Yeah, man. So we're just gonna start a little wonderful start off with a wonderful tour here today, man. You know, before we dive into anything. So I'm going to go ahead and put y'all on to what I'm looking at here. See what I'm saying? So we got some very beautiful things going on here. This is just a little personal garden right here. This is my mother's garden right here. I happen to be up in the backyard today. You know, beautiful dune land experience down there. Ancient forest, you know what I'm saying? It's one of a kind. There's nothing really like that. Miller Woods. If you ever been down to Gary, Indiana, everybody always thinks Gary is such a desolate place, you know, but there's beauty in abandonness and it's all around us. If we understand what we're looking at and give thanks to Mother Nature always, then we shall see the world in a different perspective. And as I've been coming to more of a heightened sense of awareness with myself and Mother Nature, man, I've been able to, you know, when I leave the house in the morning, just look at the world differently. When I step outside, you know, I tend to look at the trees and look at the clouds and look at the sky, you know, all these things that resonate around us, you know, and as above, so below, you know, everything looks just so divine. And when we look at plant life and animal life, you know, we could always find a reflection of ourselves in Mother Nature, you know. Look up at the sky, it gets the mind wandering, gets the mind going, it adds to the creativity, you know what I'm saying? And being an artist in general, I think it's important to free our minds like so, because a lot of us get stuck in a paradigm or get caught in a particular constraint, you know, that gets us complacent and we're afraid to get outside of the box and create, and we start to become just like everybody else. So it's really important that, you know, we take time to get back out in nature, man, and stimulate those senses, heighten the senses, you know, get the mind right. And a lot of creativity and and things that resonate with that shall come about. You know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and start off with a quick tour, man. And this is what I always preach about: self-sustainability, man. Being able to plant up things that'll continue to come back for years and years and provide food for many generations to come. But we're looking at a wonderful Concord grapevine right here, and you could see the beautiful little grapes are just starting to form on there. Nice little clusters, and these things are only going to get bigger. This is just the first stage, man. The first stage. And these come back every single year, this entire vine. Look at pretty much a quarter of the length of the fence line right here, come all the way back. You know what I'm saying? And ever since my mother moved in here some years back, she planted this up, and it really has taken off and did its job. The first couple of years we were concerned because we didn't see no fruits coming, and we figured that there was too much competition in the soil. But you know, let job magic work, and you start to see the fruits of your labor. And you see, we also have wonderful wild edibles coming down in here as well, man. Some beautiful pieces. RockTrue Beatz. Hey, man, get you some RockTrue Eats. You understand? It's the beautiful shamrock right here. This is a wonderful trail edible. You know, we probably see this all the time and mistake it for clover. I hear a lot of people calling this clover, or maybe of something of a different name. But this is actually called oxalis, or also known as shamrock. And this is loaded up in what they call oxalic acid. And oxalic acid is another form of vitamin C, just in like the base form, you know, inside of the plant. You know, citric acid we find in some fruits, you know, but then don't get it misconstrued with the citric acid that's created in laboratory. You know, that's actually bacteria. Know what I'm saying? Two different things used as preservative. This one right here is vitamin C, man, vital for the body. Know what I mean? Serious piece of work. Wonderful pieces out there, man. But as you can see, a lot of things coming, man. It looks like some stinging nettle right there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe y'all could see it. Beautiful wild edibles coming up. And down the ways, man, you know, down in the valley by the ancient trees, man, we start to find a lot of the wild raspberries. They call them black cap raspberries. And what's unfortunate, man, is that we see over the years that, you know, man takes more steps in order to you know, kind of do justice for Mother Nature, I guess you'd say. And we always tend to see man starting to burn down particular places, you know, like out here, we like to see, or we always see, rather, we don't like to see, we always see the Nature Service or the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, come out and, you know, do controlled burns out here. And yeah, it's beneficial because it refertilizes the soil, but what about all the species of black cap raspberries and native red raspberries and brambleberries and blackberries and wild blueberries growing out here? You know, some of these things, like even like wild ramps, part of the onion family, these things take upwards of 7 years in order to produce seed, to spread on the next generation, the next lineage. And I just find it very unfortunate that we're always, on different sides of the table when it comes to this. If man would just let Mother Nature do her things and respect job blessings, man, I think we'd be in a less precarious position than we are in this time. You know what I mean? So just a quick thought on that. But let's get back to this real quick, man. Let's jump right back to it. And hopefully we see a couple of hummingbirds out here, because we got the hummingbird feeder, man. You know what I mean? And these hummingbirds always coming by. Sometimes I see them sitting up on the power lines. Sometimes I see them sitting on a tree branch, and they're such the little smallest, cutest critters you ever see. And right here we got wonderful echinacea, man. So if any woman has ever had an instance, or maybe it's more frequent than usual, but if you have a situation, man, where your menstrual cycle or your moon cycle, it becomes very painful, and it could be because of a poor choice in diet, or it could be, from different things like endometriosis or cystic fibrosis. These wicked things that a lot of women in America get. Now, this one right here, echinacea, man, is something that's really powerful. It does a really good job at toning up that immune system and toning up the uterus. You know what I mean? Heights with the immune system, and it also likes to tone up the uterus, the uterine walls. And if you know anything about endometriosis, that's when the uterus is lacking, or is lacking, or it has a disruption in the endometrium, which is the lining of the uterus. And when this happens during the menstrual cycle, the blood that leaves the woman's body is not able to leave the body. It gets sent to other parts of the body, different organs, where it's not supposed to go. And this causes stress and cramps and painful menstruation. And it's just a wicked thing, man. I'm not saying this happens just to everybody with endometriosis, because I know a lot of women have painful because of our choice in diets. So things that are inflammatory, like sugars, processed sugars, alcohol, processed foods, even caffeine, and red meats. These are things that we want to lay off especially during the time of menstruation for women. But echinacea does a really wonderful job at toning things up, man, and really relieving that stress. Especially if you have a lot of hormone imbalance during that time too. Red clover. Sorry, she always on my mind. But echinacea will really do the trick for you. So any woman out there looking for stress-free menstruation, man, or during the menstrual cycle, get yourself some wonderful echinacea, and you'll see her flowering. They call it coneflower too. She'll be flowering very shortly. And also, not just for women, but for anybody who looking to get a boost in immune system or respiratory health, man. She's a very powerful piece of work, man. Likes to work hand in hand with the respiratory system. So make sure you get yourself right. Serious pieces of medicine out here. Old alliums right here. Always a beautiful flower, man. Always a beautiful flower to see. Always see the little creatures, the little insects, man. Everybody plays a purpose in this world, except for mosquitoes, man. I think we chimed in on that last year. You know what I mean? Everything has its place in this world, except for mosquitoes. What is the purpose, man? What is the purpose? I know some wonderful things. Columbine, beautiful columbine. I've got a heap of this planted up over at the farm on 25th, but I have yet to study it for its medicinal values. I know it has some medicinal purpose, and Native American tribes have long used her, but I've never used her personally, man. So we just want to be mindful about her. If anybody gets a chance, do some research on columbine. Definitely heighten your heights, man. And then we get to the old raspberry patch, man. You know what I mean? Now I'm telling you, man, this garden right here is a woman's best friend. And when I say that because this garden provides everything that a woman needs during her menstruation. You know what I mean? It's got the bee balm. It's got the things like the echinacea. It's got the things like the red raspberry. It's got sometimes red clovers popping up in here. And it's also got the dead nettle. I see some fresh nettle coming along. Dead nettle, that is. And it's another great thing, man. One of them misconstrued herbs or overlooked herbs, rather. These things are really important to take into the body, to really tone things up and to really make things more sound, make your moon cycle, your lunar cycle more easy, you understand? So it's something to be very mindful of. And what we're talking about right here is wonderful red raspberry leaves, man. They're just now starting to get some fruit on them, man. You know what I'm saying? Just now starting to get some fruit. See the little fruits coming on there. Now, some of them used to be flowered like this, and after the flower comes the fruiting stage. So once these get pollinated by the different bees and flying insects that come around, it becomes a really powerful piece of medicine for us to take in the body. And like I said, we just don't look at things for the fruit. I think that's one thing that that Babylon or the system has really worked hard to get out of our minds. You know, we just look at things for the fruit, the sweetness, the saltiness, and we forget about the medicine. You know, which can be the bark, or it could be the aerial properties. You know, things like the leaves, the stem, the flowers, the seeds, or it could even be the root. You know, sometimes it's the root, and we have to dig her up out of the ground and clean her up and learn to process her and take her into the body. You know what I mean? So we just got to be mindful of all these things because it's been burnt out of us for so long. And as soon as we start to get back in tune with the land, you know, if we love God already, if you love Jah already, you know, make sure you get back to nature, respect Mother Nature, you know, because these are all things provided for us, man. There's a quote out of the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving Earth, that I think many people overlook, or a lot of the preacher men don't talk about it. And that's Genesis 1:29 and 30. And if you read what it's speaking about, it's speaking about all of the fruit bearing trees or plants that was put down here for us to use, seed bearing trees and plants that was put down here for us to utilize as our food and as our medicine. You know, and why that's not talked about enough, I'm unsure, but I think it has a lot to do with where we're living at in America, man. You know, we have to understand the science behind that. You know, this is one big experiment, especially for a lot of black folks or melanated folks or people's coming from, even my folks coming up from Mexico, man, or even Hungary. You know, these folks faced a lot of oppression and a lot of conquering happened. You know, so what was once the original people is no longer original. And with those, the ideologies and the thoughts and the traditions and the culture, it has been ridded from a lot of us. And when you take away people's roots, or you destroy the knowledge of a people's, that's how you rid a people's of the culture, and that's how you rid people's off the planet. So I think it's important to be mindful of all that. You know, let's all get back to the roots. Let's do due diligence to step outside, man, and give thanks for the trees, man. Give thanks for that breeze blowing through your hair. You know, these natural things that stimulate our senses. You know, because we do have 5 of them, man. Some people say we got 6, and we have to understand that we need to heighten ourselves, you know, in order to create, in order to come together. UNITY, man, like Queen Latifah say. You know what I mean? It's imperative for us to do that, especially in a time like so, man. We living in times of sound wars, you know, and sound wars may not just be music. It may be frequencies played at an ultra low level, you know, and ultra low hertz. And these things can get your mind, man, and start to warp it and shape the way you're thinking. Eventually, it becomes your conscious rather than your subconscious, you know. So it's a really heavy piece, man. I know sometimes we don't like to talk about this stuff, but it's important to acknowledge it, man, because if you have knowledge prior to something happening, man, or you know about a situation before it happens or before you encounter something, you're able to handle it in a different manner. You're able to make your decision on how you're going to deal with it and find the solution in a more righteous manner. You know what I mean? It becomes untainted. It's just something that we all have to be mindful of, man. I think mindfulness is important these days, man. And sometimes we tend to get out of mind. We start to think out of mind. You know what I mean? I see this happen with a lot of folks in the community, man, or every day. You know, a lot of people are just reacting rather than taking time to think and assess the situation. We all have to be observers of the world. We have to be watchers. We have to see the things going on around us. This is how our ancestors did it. We watch the things around us, man. We see things like the way that a squirrel may operate, why he's operating like that. What are the things that he's doing that's very similar to us, you know? It's in a natural setting. And I see some mushrooms down there. Sorry about that, y'all. Might go check those out in a few. But we see the way different animals operate out here. And when we watch how they operate, we can see that it's such in a natural way. We tend to think that man is superior than everything. But we only superior in the artificial world. When we come out to nature, man, we ain't nothing, man. You know, we'll get ran over in a heartbeat. Mother Nature will swallow us whole, and you see that happening with houses. Think about it. When you go into a neighborhood or you go into a place where that may be abandoned, or even just if somebody moves out of a house and nobody moves in for a few years, what do we tend to see? We see Mother Nature taking back over. You know, the spirit of the house is left. You originally implemented your spirit inside of a house, inside of those each of those 4 corners. and you gave it life. You know, you put your vibration in there, and then we see when we move out, all that stuff goes to crumble, man. Goes away. Everything becomes dusty. It becomes silent. It becomes vacant. Even when you walk into a vacant house, you don't feel anything in there. But if you go, I bet you, if you go to one of your friends' house or your grandparents' house or your mother's house, you feel some type of energy in there. Okay, and Mother Nature tend to take back over all the time, because we have to be mindful that we live in Mother Nature, man. So we got to have the utmost respect. You know, I see people want to stomp a bee or spray a bee and spray the weed killer on such, man. But if we do that, you know, we're not loving God, man. You know, we're not loving Jah. You know, like Bob Marley say, man, we'll be forever loving Jah, loving it forever, man. You know what I mean? It's a serious thing. So we always have to get back in tune with the natural world around us. And I just encourage everybody to get out, you know, at least at least once a day, man. If you don't get out once a day, get out you know, a couple moments, a couple minutes of the day, just to start and breathe in that wonderful air, man. Soak in the vibration, soak in that sun, man. Give thanks for another day of life. Give thanks for the fresh air that we breathe. Give thanks for Mother Nature, because Mother Nature provides, man. You know what I mean? She provides food for I and I. It's a serious piece of work, man. So yeah, man, just been doing a lot of planting up the as of recent, man. We got the farm going on 25th, man. You know, things have been real nice. I've been back in the lab, whipping up some fire music, man. You know what I'm saying? Serious things to stimulate your mind. I'd love to give some sneak peeks, man, but I'm notorious for doing that, and I just cannot do it. You understand? I got to be able to hold myself down and hold myself accountable. But y'all will get a sneak peek in a very, very near future. If y'all following me on Instagram, I got 2 pages, man. Y'all can check me out on at Marley King LF. That's at Marley King LF, or at ancient_mystic_INC. Once again, that's at ancient_mystic_INC. And you keep up with all the adventures. And a lot of times I'll be letting a sneak peek, man, of my sessions up in the studio, man. You know what I'm saying? I got to play many different roles. I play the role of the engineer, the producer, and also the artist. You know what I mean? Lyrical bad man when it comes to that. You know, always putting some fat on people's head, enough to make you think. Something that I'm just coming in front to now that I just want to jump in, man. Check it out, man. Jah will provide, man. You see that? Food for I and I is wonderful blueberries right there. Maybe it's kind of hard to see right now, yeah, but you understand what we're getting at. Many of them wonderful specimens coming up. It's not to get that confused with the regular blueberries the wild blueberries that we found in the wild. Now those grow a little bit lower to the ground. I remember finding those up in Alaska when I was hiking up in the mountains. You know what I mean? And it was a very wonderful find. And I made sure I got a belly full of those, plentiful, man. Replenish. But yeah, man, wild blueberries grow pretty much a lot of places that we walk about, man. You know, we go into places like the Midwest, all the way across the Midwest. We can find the wild blueberries growing around. Some of these things have been eradicated, you know, because, man, but when we find those patches, man, we make sure to reap the benefits of them. You know, serious piece of medicine. Also, man, we just had a wonderful nature hike. If y'all had missed it, about let me see, I think that was last week. Last week, man. My days are, I'm living in the moment, man. So my days are flying by and they're mashing up with each other. But last Sunday, man, we did a wonderful nature walk out in the middle of woods over here, and we took a group of maybe about 10 people out with us, man. You know, some true soldiers, man. It was a real serene experience. You know, took them back in the woods, predominantly female, but we had about 3 or 4 brethren up in there as well. And we was coming across a lot of great specimens out there and putting people on to the knowledge and getting them back in tune with Mother Nature, just to be out there in solace, in silence, you know, and just the natural sounds, the birds chirping, you know, not to hear no gunfire, not to hear no wickedry, you know, resonating around us. It was just a really positive vibration, and everybody really enjoyed themselves, man. You know, it's something that we plan on doing quite frequently. Obviously, we know as the summer starts to progress, we're going to see a lot more thickness coming out here. So we probably won't be able to get too deep out into the bush. You know what I mean? Because Mother Nature's going to let you know you got to come through with machete, man, and chop things down. But nonetheless, y'all need to stay tuned. If you ever get the chance, go onto those particular pages of Instagram. preferably the Ancient Mystic underscore Inc. And that's going to go ahead and keep you in tune with the many different adventures we got coming up. We always do a wonderful job of putting out the flyers. Y'all could catch us down at the Miller Market on Sundays down here in Miller, Indiana, right off of Route 12, man, right next to the McDonald's, across the way from the McDonald's, rather, right next to the train station, across from the Centier Bank, right on Lake Street, man. Y'all cannot miss it. And we always down there, man. We always holding a nice vibe and having a wonderful reasoning with people's, man, shooting the breeze, spending knowledge with each other, and it's a really beautiful thing. We always got some nice products out there too, man. So y'all come up and get a wonderful piece of health and wellness. Right now we got a couple of drinks going on. We got things like lavender lemonade, ginger beer, Jamaica, or what they call hibiscus. We also got chocolate mint tea. My goodness, what else do we got, man? Am I missing something? Soursop, brewed up a nice soursop tea from the leaves, not the juice. Don't get it misconstrued with the juice made from the fruit. This one's nice medicinal, made up with the soursop leaves, man. Good blood purifier, strong blood purifier, man. Give you nice, good power. You know what I mean? Serious piece of work. And then we also got some nice spiritual products and wonderful spiritual kits, things with the wonderful white sage and artemisia that we've been harvested up. And then we also got different resins in there, things like your wonderful frankincense and myrrh, heightening vibrations, uplift yourself, man, change the energy, transmutate, man, something serious. So wonderful spiritual pieces right there. And then also, we're just starting to get into a wonderful part of the season, man, where I've been out doing a lot of wildcrafting, you know what I'm saying? So I've been coming across different patches of stinging nettle, and stinging nettle, that's a wonderful, very, very heavily nutritized herb right there, and we take those things into the body, man, to really give us that peak input of iron and vitamin C and magnesium and potassium and phosphate. These wonderful things for the body, man, and for the mind, you know what I'm saying? That's another great feminine herb right there too. So, y'all women out there, man, who looking for a real serious boost and a lot of ease for menstruation or lunar cycle, get yourself in tune with stinging nettle. That's a woman's best friend right there. One of them. I know she got a few best friends, man. We like to say the 5 sisters sometimes, but to me, sometimes it goes deeper depending on where you are, because I'm always coming across new specimens everywhere I go. Yeah, man. So out harvesting up some stinging nettle. We got some burdock coming up. I found a couple of nice patches, man. So anybody looking to link up for these particular harvests, I'm kind of always on the move here in Miller. So if you're down here in Miller at a particular time, I've got a particular spot, man, and y'all could always come out and forge with me. I'll put you on game, and we'll come out with a nice bounty, enough respect. So serious thing coming about. So y'all just make sure you stay in tune for the next coming weeks. As we start to put some things into motion. Summer's going to be a real fruit one. And come fall time, I think roughly around September, we're putting a trip coming together. We've got a trip coming up that we're putting together, heading down to Cahokia Mounds in southern Illinois. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be a real spiritual trip right there. We headed down to the largest Native American mounds here in the Midwest. And they're still standing, and it's a lot of has to do with the Cahokia tribe, and there's a small museum where they talk about this stuff. I'm sure there's a couple of native brethren down there to put folks on to the knowledge. But then you could spend the whole time going out there, man, and hiking up the mounds and hiking around, and it's a full day trip, man. It's a real spiritual thing, We'll stay down there till maybe sunset, and soak in a serious vibration. Hopefully, by the time we go, it'll be full moon. It'll be a nice autumn moon for us to reap the vibration of as well, man. So we got a lot of things going on here, a lot of wonderful events coming up to get you grounded, man, to get you back in tune with Mother Nature. And that's what it's all about. Each one teach one, man. For those with ears, let them hear. It's the wise saying that we always like to say. So it's been a wonderful piece of work out here for myself, man. It's been very plentiful. I've got some great people coming into my life at this point in time. And, as springtime has commenced, I'm starting to shed a lot of dead weight, and I think it's important. A lot of us clean house like so, clean our minds, get ourselves ready, and clean our bodies in turn, the way that our ancestors used to practice is every turn of the season, there's new things in the air. We're breathing in a different kind of air. There's new there's new pollens in the air, things that are going to affect us. And when we're breathing these things in, we really need to make sure that we cleanse the body and leave room for adjustment, adaptation. Ancestors been doing it for many years, but us living in America, it seems to be so tough for these particular things. And at times I find myself getting complacent, man, but it's always important to make sure we get back on the good foot. and we start putting some wonderful things into our body. And practice, taking a fast every now and then. If you got to fast for 24 hours where you're drinking water and juice and maybe eating some fruit, these things are really beneficial, man. And you shall see the progress, especially in your mind, the clarity that comes about. When we got clarity, man, we ain't afraid to make decisions, and we make the right decisions. I know a lot of people get forgetful. I get forgetful sometimes myself too. But it's important that we try to steer away from that brain fog, man. Get the mind right, I know drinking coffee in the morning can sometimes do it for people. They might drink a big old tall cup of coffee, and that caffeine is heavy, man. And that stuff will cause you to crash later in the day, or maybe you need a next pick-me-up. But it's important that we don't abuse the caffeine. Caffeine could be looked at as a drug as well, the way that we abuse it so much. We just have to take time to be mindful about what we put into our body at the changes of the season, to cleanse ourselves up, man. Because on RockTrue Beatz, we like to talk about RockTrue Eats, man. How we get down with the body, man. What resonates, man. That soul food. And I ain't talking Tyler Perry. You understand? Something serious. Something that's coming into bloom as well that everybody should look out for, man, is the red clover. If y'all ain't seen the big, beautiful pink flowers popping up in tall grasses, or on the side of roads and alleyways, or in the meadows and the fields, y'all need to open your eyes, man, because this is a great piece of medicine that everybody should be harvesting up right now. Very, very easy to identify. 3 leaves, representation of the Trinity, the mind, body, and soul. Yeah, man, serious piece. So make sure that we keep our eyes open for red clover, especially women. I see a lot of women right now asking me a question about that. What's good for my cycle? Or one woman was asking me earlier, I'm ovulating right now, so what's good, what's something good that's good for the uterus right now? She's going through a cycle, and red clover is a wonderful piece for her to take in the body, along with red raspberry leaves. These things are really good just to take on the regular. It doesn't even just have to be through the time of menstruation. It could be through your entire cycle, which is a lunar cycle. That's why in a lot of ancient culture, man, especially African culture, man, you'd see when a woman starts to hit that time in her life where she reaches the age of puberty, where she gets her first cycle, the women would come and take her off to a whole another village, man, and they'd take her to the village, and she would be surrounded with all these women, that would teach her about the cycle, man, and they do things, that would ease the hormones, drink certain teas, talk and politic about things, to get an understanding, to really install the knowledge. And that's something that we lack. We got a lot of schools raising our youth nowadays. And with that comes an indoctrination, and it takes away from the parents actually being able to raise up their youth. So if you letting your youth, having their minds indoctrinated at such a young age, just imagine where the rest of the roads lead in life. So it's important that we take back our youth, and we don't lose another generation. We need to be able to install these things and have these conversations, especially at these particular ages. Because I remember coming up, man, the school taught me all that stuff. When I reached puberty, they taught me about sex education. They taught me about, men and stuff like that. They never taught me how to be a man or what it was to be a man. And same thing for women. They never taught you how to be a woman. They never taught you what it was to be a woman, the sacred feminine divine. So it's something that we always have to be mindful of, man. Don't let the indoctrination take hold on the youth and even on ourselves. And if we are, then we have to make sure that we recognize it and start to break free. Because once we break free from mental chains and mental slavery, we really start to take back our lives, and then we can heal the nation. And then, as the Rasta man say, Africa will be free. You understand, man? So it's been a wonderful chat, man, having with y'all for this past 30 minutes. We had some technical difficulties earlier, man, so apologies for the short and length of the show. But I'm sure y'all understand, and we got some righteous things here in store for the future, man. So I was glad to drop some knowledge on y'all real quick while I was out here in my natural settings, my natural environments. You understand? Rocking the sombrero again, man. That's respect, man. Yeah, man. So like I say, man, love and respect always, man. It's been another episode of RockTrue Beatz. And catch us in 2 Tuesdays from now. You know what I'm saying? It'll be the month of June by then. Yeah, man. Serious things coming up, man. The month of June coming up. And you know what that means? It means the first day of summer to come along with it. And we're going to see a lot of flowers coming into bloom and new medicines popping up and new edibles popping up for us as well, man. So y'all make sure you stay in tune. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks. It's been a wonderful time with y'all, man, as we start to wind down the evening. Let me go get some grub in my belly, man. Peace and one love. Chris Lyon checking out.